Welcome, everyone, to a deep dive into, well, one of Earth's most genuinely enigmatic places, Mount Kailash. It's tucked away in remote western Tibet, stands about 6,600 meters tall. But what's really striking is how different it is. I mean, you compare it to Everest, right? Everest has been summited countless times, Kailash, almost completely untouched. And it's way more than just a mountain peak. People call it the axis of the universe, the axis mundi. It's a place that seems to, I don't know, bend the rules of conventional logic.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, I think, is how Kailash sort of forces this convergence. You've got empirical scientific observation on one hand, and then this incredibly deep, profound spiritual belief on the other. So our mission today really is to try and unpack some of these layers for you, the unexplained stuff, the ancient stories, the modern science,
Yeah.
all the things that make its mystery just so enduring.
Okay, so let's dig into that first big question. Why has no one actually successfully summited Kailash? Especially, compared to Everest, its height is relatively modest.
Right. It's definitely a mix of things. Physically, Kailash isn't just high. It's got this very unique pyramid shape. The slopes are almost vertical in places. Plus, relentless snow, crazy unpredictable weather.
Like blizzards coming out of nowhere.
Exactly. Sudden blizzards, extreme winds, sub-zero temperatures. And unlike Everest, there are just no established routes, no safety nets, no rescue infrastructure. It almost feels, well, deliberately hard to reach.
And then there's the whole spiritual side, which is huge, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's immense. For Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, the Bon religion, Kailash is supremely sacred. Trying to climb it, that's seen as a massive act of disrespect. It's like barging into a divine realm. This reverence is so strong that the Chinese government actually banned climbing back in 2001 after huge protests. The only person who's thought to have maybe reached the top is Milarepa, an 11th century Tibetan monk, but honestly, there's no hard proof.
Okay, but the mystery goes even deeper, right? Because some of the stories from people who tried to get close are, frankly, unsettling. We hear about climbers just vanishing. There was apparently a Soviet team in the 80s. Others supposedly came back, but were never the same.
Mentally disturbed, filled with this profound fear. There's one account from a Spanish expedition leader. He talked about feeling this strange surge of energy, having hallucinations even. It forced him to turn back.
Wow. And don't locals sometimes say the mountain is almost aware that it can sense climbers and even shift things around?
Yeah, that's part of the local lore, that it can change its target destination. It adds another layer of, well, weirdness to it all.
And speaking of weirdness, let's talk about time. This is one of the strangest reported phenomena, time distortion. Pilgrims often say things like 12 hours near Kailash feels like 2 weeks. They talk about hair and nails growing super fast, like weeks worth in just half a day. And then there are those really chilling stories like the Siberian mountaineers who supposedly aged decades and just days after going too far, and they all died within a year.
It's a disturbing account, for sure. And it makes you wonder, right? Could there be something like a strong magnetic field at play, something affecting how we perceive time, or maybe even speeding up biological processes like cell growth? Interestingly, NASA satellites have actually detected an uncommon electromagnetic energy wave coming from the mountain area.
Really? NASA?
Yep. It kind of lines up with these ancient ideas of Kailash being an axis mundi, a center point where cosmic energies converge. Maybe it is kind of natural energy vortex or one of these planetary energy centers people talk about. And get this, some people claim Google Earth measurements show it's exactly 616.66 kilometers from the North Pole.
And double that. 100 and 332 kilometers from the South Pole.
Exactly. Plus, you hear reports of compasses going haywire, spinning wildly, or just stopping. Phones, GPS, all malfunctioning near the mountain. It's fascinating, isn't it, how these ancient, almost mystical ideas about energy vortexes seem to echo in modern scientific observations of, electromagnetic weirdness.
Okay, so with all these energy anomalies and strange effects, it really makes you look at the mountain itself differently. That striking shape, it's so symmetrical, almost a perfect pyramid. 4 faces lining up almost perfectly with north, south, east, west. That's incredibly rare in nature. And the rock itself, that unusual black rock.
Which leads to a pretty radical theory. Could it actually be man-made? There was Russian researcher Dr. Ernst Muldashev who led an expedition back in '99. His conclusion: that Kailash isn't a mountain at all, but a massive man-made pyramid, possibly the largest on Earth.
A man-made pyramid, hidden in Tibet.
That was his theory. Maybe an ancient energy generator. He even suggested it's the main hub in a network of maybe 100 other smaller pyramids, other mountains around it. He tried to link it geometrically to places like Giza, Teotihuacan, even Stonehenge, some kind of ancient global energy grid.
Wow. That's a huge claim. What do mainstream geologists make of that? I mean, it sounds pretty out there.
Well, yeah, it is pretty out there. Geologists generally stick to the standard explanation. Natural processes, erosion, tectonic uplift created the shape over millions of years.
Hmm.
But the "it's just too perfect" argument is hard to completely dismiss for some people. The big issue for the pyramid theory, though, is the complete lack of any concrete archaeological proof. So while it's a fascinating idea, it's definitely not widely accepted in the scientific community.
Right. Okay, so setting aside the pyramid theory for a moment, let's circle back to the spiritual heart of Kailash. It's just incredible that it holds such immense significance for four different major faiths. Hinduism, it's Lord Shiva's home. Buddhism, it's Mount Meru. Jainism, where Rishabhanatha attained enlightenment. And for the Bon faith, it's the Swastika Mountain.
That shared reverence is really something, isn't it? It suggests maybe a common human intuition about the place's power or significance. And even the landscape around it feeds into this symbolism. You have Lake Mansarovar at its foot, calm, sacred, representing purity, and right near it, Lake Rakshastal, stormy, associated with negativity or evil. They're linked by a small channel, symbolizing maybe the balance between good and evil.
And people see things in the mountain itself, too, right? Like shapes formed by snow and shadow.
Mm-hmm. At certain times, light and shadow can apparently create a giant swastika pattern on one face, or other patterns that look like the sacred syllable Om. Believers see these as divine signs, maybe even hearing the vibration or sound of Om, like Shiva chanting.
And just to wrap up the lore aspect, there are all those ancient texts and legends talking about hidden cities or realms nearby, like Shambhala or Agartha. Some even suggest Kailash could be a portal, maybe?
It's like an interdimensional gateway. Yeah, those ideas are definitely woven into the mystical traditions surrounding the mountain. So, in the end, Kailash really remains this unique paradox. It's profoundly sacred, spiritually vital to millions, yet physically unconquered. Its mystery is actively preserved, you could say, by the sheer difficulty of the terrain, by the deep spiritual respect it commands, and even by government policy. And even with things like NASA seeing unusual energy waves, there's still so many unanswered questions. It feels like some parts of Kailash's mystery might just be beyond what our current science can measure or explain.
So what does all this mean for you, listening? Well, Kailash is clearly more than just a spot on a map. It really pushes us to ask big questions, doesn't it? About reality, about consciousness, about where the limits of our own knowledge lie. For pilgrims, doing the Korda, the circumambulation around the base, is considered this incredibly transformative journey.
Yeah.
And it just keeps pulling people in, scientists, spiritual seekers, adventurers. Everyone is fascinated. So maybe the enduring question Kailash leaves us with is this. What does it really mean when a place seems to actively guard its own secrets, challenging both our science and our ambitions? Something to think about.